Okay, world. Welcome to Underground Vision Magazine once again, and I'm here with MiniCoop. Now,
Good.
the thing with MiniCoop, tell them where you are from.
Melbourne, Australia.
So, yes, he's an Australian rapper and a very damn good one at that. So, first question is, how did you get into rapping?
Um, I'd always been into rapping when I was a kid, but I followed more along like metal and punk. I learned a lot of instruments instead of rapping, so I learned piano and drums and all that. And I played in lots of like heavy metal bands and all that kind of music. And but I always kind of liked rap on the side. And the moment I started messing around and making my own music on the computer, I thought I'd give it a shot. And I was horrible at it. Like I had the worst voice you could imagine for it. But kind of just kept plugging along. And as the production got better, so did my rapping, and I just kind of got into it from there.
Yes, and I did notice in the newest video of yours that you were going from the keyboard to the drums to the guitar. So you did do all that from prior to starting to do your perfect your art.
Yeah, I was sort of trying to show that I do all of those things in one, whereas lots of other rappers will just kind of write lyrics and get someone else to make a beat for them. But at the same time, I was like paying homage to the old band I was in as well, because like each of the members had a different persona. So I was trying to be like, I was a nerdy keyboardist kind of guy who would write the songs, and like the bass player just didn't give a shit.
Love
Trying to have like a different kind of act for each band member.
Yeah. So when did you start getting real serious about it?
Ah, I released my first like album or project March 2014.
Okay.
And since it was my first project and I got such great feedback from it, and it was like the first time I was able to put out music that I could kind of express myself fully and really hone in on what my style is, instead of how I should write for metal and fit that into the scene. I could completely write exactly what I wanted to write, because in hip hop in Australia, there's like most of the scene is kind of one genre of that kind of like boom bap style. And I get, since I did all the classical piano, I've got all these metal influences. I get to throw that all in and kind of make my own sound. So try and keep it really different to the rest of it.
And that's something that even here in the States we're starting to get away from, and I'm trying in my station and magazine that's been trying to get it back to. Creativity. For a bit of time, and hip hop people don't get mad at me. For a bit of time in 2003, I went back to listen to more rock than I did rap.
Yeah.
Because of the way it's going. And
there was a lot of diversity.
Yeah, and I played instruments, so therefore I expect and respect what metal bands go through and what they do.
Yeah.
So you touched on the hip hop scene in Australia. How does that look, by the way? Do they play it a lot on the radio, or?
Yeah, in the last 5 years especially, it's kind of blown up. Before then, it was just an underground scene. You had 2 to 5 big artists that would tour, and everyone else was basically underground, and it was all the same boom bap kind of staunch, kind of like early like 90s American hip hop, where a lot of it is just about how tough you are and whatnot. And it's just in the last 5 or so years, like the sort of like pop and electronic side of it has come to fruition and really helped explode the scene. And now it's crazy diverse. So a lot of it's getting tons of radio play now. It's probably one of the biggest genres for touring in Australia now.
Wow. Do they play more of the Americanized, or do they play more of their own?
On most mainstream radio, it's all the American stuff, because it's all
big market.
All of the, it's just a huge market, man. So like it'll just come in and explode the charts kind of thing, and you've got more of your indie radio stations that'll just play Australian stuff, and like they'll look out for new talent and then boost them on, and that's a good platform to then take off the bigger radio stations.
Oh, so they do exactly the same thing we do. Okay.
Yeah. They have a bit of a mix, but most of it's the US stuff.
Yeah, I'm sorry to say, most of your stuff right now is not that great. But
No. Some of the stuff's coming out like with like, you know, J. Cole, Logic, and Kendrick. I'm crazy on that shit, you know. But
see, I don't particularly care for the Migos and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel it. Yeah.
We're gonna move forward. Okay.
Before we start a worldwide diss on like half of the hip hop, yeah.
Oh, trust me, you should listen to the station sometime.
Yeah.
I go in. But the videos, because right now there's a problem I also have is with other people's videos. Music videos have gotten away from an actual story. Nowadays, all you got is a girl shaking her ass and a dude standing behind her or throwing money at her, and that's your video. Or you got a posse of people in a huddle, which back in the day used to be the way you jump people in the gang, and that's your video. That's not creative. But I looked at your videos, and your videos, especially, which one was it where you jumped in the pool off of the balcony?
Tie-dye.
Yes. That was creative. As well.
Thank you. It's one of my favorites.
Bad Posture I love Bad Posture as well. That was creative. So who does your videos, or do you do them yourself as well?
Well, I write my own videos, so whenever I do a video clip, I make sure that I've written the storyboard out myself, kind of thing. But with like tie-dye, I got a friend who just started film stuff. He's like training to be a doctor, and he just did film stuff on the side, and that was his first proper video, and he just did a crazy job on it. And the other two that have come out, my girlfriend did it.
Wow!
Good resource on the side, eh?
You're right.
She does some media and film stuff, and she just killed it, kind of thing. So I've got, you know, since, you know, when you're a musician, like I teach and I produce for other people, but it's not a great business unless you're big, kind of thing.
Right.
So while you're studying, you're basically broke. So it was great to have her on the side helping me out, because otherwise I would have had to pay. I only paid hundreds for what I would have had to pay thousands for.
Trust me, I know about being broke. I'm there right now.
Yeah.
Being an underground magazine and radio station, you don't make much money. I don't think I come out of the green, out of the red yet. So, but so tell me, how do they actually play yours on the mainstream radio station? Because I expect, really?
Nah, not yet. It's the hardest part is getting heard properly. Right. Once you have been heard, then the moment you get like one song on rotation, then they'll listen to every single song that you put out next. So you've got a great chance of getting on mainstream radio. But there's basically like only one proper radio station that you go through to kind of break into the radio scene. And to be honest, like they'll listen to the first 10 seconds of your song. You don't know who's listening or what kind of music they like either. So you've kind of got to really have a very marketable or pop sound to break in on that radio station. But what I'm going to be doing is because they're in Sydney and I'm in Melbourne, but they broadcast nationwide. So I'm going to, when I go play a show up there next month, I'm just going to walk in the door with a bunch of CDs and chuck them in everyone's, you know.
That's what you do. Let's see. So, who were your biggest influences in the rap scene? And then I'm gonna ask you who's your biggest influence in the rock scene.
Okay. All right. Rap scene. When I was younger, it was obviously like Eminem and Busta Rhymes. I even liked, you know, Linkin Park was there, like new metal and stuff like that, and they had the rap on the side. That was crazy for me. And nowadays, like I've got it like split between US and, you know, Australian rap. They're very different, but you know, with the US, like Kendrick is fucking blowing my mind everything he puts out, man. It's just unbelievable. So Kendrick, big fan of Mac Miller. He's just like crazy diverse, and his music's so fucking out there and weird, but he's real smart on all of it. So, you know, I've got a big fan of him. J. Cole, Logic, who else? And if I'm going Australian rap, which is probably wouldn't know, but
Well,
Listen
thanks
SO.
though, because I'm looking for more independent artists to put on the air. You know, I'm trying to flood my radio station with more independent artists than some of the stuff that's coming out now. So.
Oh, I've got some people to send your way then, I suppose. I'll get both of you guys talking. But listen, I was rap. There'd be like Listen SO, who are like, they're new school music, but with an old school mentality of kind of like maintaining the poetry and positivity in it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Just, you know, it's really, really impressive what they do, and they're just huge now in Australia. Or like Seth Century, who's like a really good storyteller, and like Rich, who's just like attitude, fucking, you know, jump onto an electronic beats and just slaughter them, kind of thing. Does nothing. But yeah, so trying to keep it balanced, so I don't go just straight into Aussie hip hop or straight into American hip hop kind of thing. I want to take influences from everywhere.
Right. So what about rock? Who was your rock influences?
I was into like punk rock and like heavy metal and stuff. So when I was a kid, it was The Offspring and Sum 41, Linkin Park, Foo Fighters. Who else? And then I was getting like really, really heavy and listening to like Parkway Drive and like the Prom Queen and all that kind of stuff. Like, the screamo stuff, man. I was going crazy.
It's gonna be funny, but everybody you just named, I played Wednesday on my rock show. No lie.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Nice.
So
nice.
I'm diverse as well. So, question: in April of 2017, you think you'll be able to make it to the States?
Ooh.
I know it's a pretty hefty ticket.
If I make some money this year, then yeah.
I'm not sure if you heard, but we have a award show that we're doing that spring break of next year, and I want to nominate you as one of the international artists.
Shit, yeah. If I make some decent money this year, then that's definitely something I'd want to do. I'm just like, because in Australia, like in America, the states are so small compared to Australia. Australia's only got like six, 7 states, and they're huge. Yeah. So it takes you 5-6 hours to get, or more actually, just to drive 8 hours to drive to one other state, kind of thing. So you've got to like play a whole bunch of shows locally before you can even be big enough just to drive over to the next state and play a show there. Right. So this year I'm trying to focus on getting the separate states and building a fan base there, kind of thing. So at the moment it's just in Melbourne, where 90% of it is. Right. So if I do all that and make some decent coin, then yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because what I could do, I definitely more people are gonna start following you because of the thing. When I was rapping, I wish we had was Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, SoundCloud, because you get the more people that hear your music there, the more fans you get based on everything that they hear.
There's so many downsides as well, though. Like that's I suppose with like the online content, the pros outweigh the cons. Yeah. But at the same time, like with Facebook, that it's become so overpopulated and saturated with like the mediocre that no one wants to give you a full listen, kind of thing. And that's one thing I'm noticing. I'm bringing out 10-track albums, and like 10 tracks isn't that big for an album. That because I'm at that kind of mid-tier, no one is going to sit there for half an hour and listen to a whole album. So you can see that like the first 4 or 5 tracks have tons of plays, and the last tracks have barely any, even though lots of them are better songs.
Right. So you gotta mix and match. Yeah. So you gotta mix and match with what you let them hear.
And that's another thing with the videos. Like you've got to have visual stimulation and content, because everyone's so ADD with the internet now that they don't pay attention. If you've got a great song but it's just with a still image, then they get bored and they click off. So you got to have something really interesting for them to look at. Otherwise, that shit's gonna get boring for them.
Yeah, especially that's why they ended up with these vines that all my kids are addicted to. And I mean, don't get me wrong, they're not bad. Some of them, if they cut the scenes right, it looks good. Sometimes they cut the scene, you're like, okay, I missed what you were trying to show me there. So yeah, and I'm part of the ADD era. I'm not gonna go further than that, because But anyway, So this album, which one was Man from Mars?
Yeah, Boy from Mars.
Boy from Mars. Which one was that? Your second, third, fourth?
It was my third project. I put out my first project. It was all like self-produced, and it was pretty rough around the edges because I'm taught myself on all these programs. I put out a 10-track called Up and Atom, and that did well. And it was just, I try and have every single song a different style on one album kind of thing, just to, you know, keep the diversity and musicality of it. And then I put out like a 7-track mixtape called This Is Ours later that year, and now, yeah, We Got a Problem. So you'd probably say 2 albums, but with a small mixtape in between.
Okay, because I'm going to tell you, I listened to the album from beginning to end, Boy from Mars, and I love the album.
Yeah, thanks, man.
People need to, it'll be a link to it in on the page, but check out that album. I like the fact that every song doesn't sound the same.
Yeah.
It's just like, and people, like I said, a lot of hip-hop heads don't really realize back in the day, every song had a story, every story had a beat.
Yeah.
It's a little different with rock genre because every time, say Metallica, one of my favorite groups, if you listen to their entire CD, I'll just say the Black Album. You listen to that album from the first track to the last track is different. The beat is different, the drumming is different, the guitars are different. Nothing on that album sounds the exact same. Your album is like that. You listen to the first one and you're like, okay. This second one, like, oh, it's the same person. You listen to the third one's like, wait, what? Oh, okay. I like that.
The one like really good like critique I've had about my albums and stuff like that is that every song sounds different, but it still sounds like me. So I go, that's MiniCoop style, even though the genre is completely different from the last one.
Yep.
You know, so I'm just trying to hone in, you know, my sound, even though all the music's different.
Right. So if you could do a collaboration album with anybody in the world, who would that be? Dead or alive? You can name 4, 5. It's up to you. Dead or alive?
Dead or alive? Shit. Yeah. I feel, you know, you want to name some big names, and I feel like it wouldn't be a good collaboration because I just wouldn't be on their level kind of thing.
Okay.
But, oh, God, I don't know. I definitely want to do some work with, I couldn't pick between Kendrick and Mac Miller, which one would be more interesting.
Right.
Like Kendrick, you know, his storytelling and his vocab is just, you know, second to none at the moment.
Right.
So it would, the songs would be, I'd probably rather just produce the songs. I wouldn't want to rap on a track with him. No fucking way. But I'd just make the music and see what he did with it. That'd be amazing. Definitely, sounds weird, but Freddie Mercury, I'd want to do some rock stuff. Oh yeah, man. Just because he can play every instrument, like he's freaking wizard. So
trust me, I was a big fan too. So
yeah, some weird stuff would come out. Something would come out of that, and I just had someone else in mind as well. Dave Grohl as well, Foo Fighters.
Really? Yeah. That would be awesome. Now that would be awesome.
He's a machine, but I feel like instead of making an album, we'd probably just have like a drum off or something like that.
That'd be good. Actually, I haven't seen one of those in a long time. That actually would have been pretty cool too. I went and saw them when they came over live, and it was probably the best show I've ever been to. Really? See, I haven't been to an actual rock concert yet. I need to make a trip, but I haven't.
Don't make sure it's a big band that you really like. Don't settle for a shitty grunge.
Oh no, it would be either Foo Fighters, Breaking Benjamin, Linkin Park. I wish. Oh my God, I wish. Today, online, Metallica has a live online concert.
Really?
Yeah. Google it. It's supposed to be tonight. Matter of fact, I think it starts in another hour. They're doing it free online for everybody.
We're going to cut the interview short then so we can both get our seats.
Yeah. So, tell people how to follow you.
All right. I'm on Facebook, YouTube, SoundCloud, all under MiniCoop Music, one word. Yeah, it was fucking like my last name's Cooper, and I got an older brother, so everybody called me MiniCoop, and I did it.
I thought it was perfect.
Yeah, I didn't realize that now every single time someone tries to YouTube me, nothing but car videos come up. So they got to type it in proper until I get like, you know, thousands and thousands of views.
Right.
Then people they have to type my name in properly and everything like that. But yeah. So yeah, SoundCloud, YouTube, Facebook under MiniCoop Music. I've got my album on iTunes, Spotify, but the best place to go, and you can stream it for free and then buy it if you want at minicoop.bandcamp.com as well. That's where it's going to be cheapest because you don't get to pick your price for iTunes.
Oh.
So I've got it for $10 on Bandcamp, and then on iTunes they're like, nah, $16.90 something.
Oh wow. Yeah.
I know. Like if you're underground, you should be able to choose your own price really, because lots of people who don't really know you and you're not huge aren't going to pay $17 for an album kind of thing.
Yeah.
Especially when they get to negotiate cheaper prices for their bigger artists. So there's bigger artists with more tracks that have a cheaper album than my 10-track album.
Right. Yeah.
It's hard to compete.
Yeah. So definitely give your shout outs to all your people and your fans out there that's going to read this magazine, and the people that haven't seen you before.
That's it. Well, what's good? My name's MiniCoop. Thank you so much for tuning in. Huge shout out to Clue Streamline as well. They'll probably be watching. And yeah, all the fans, all 6 of you. Thank you.
All right.